Last class, we studied payback period method. So there is a serious limitation with payback period method, right? We do not consider the profitability. That is, we do not consider cash inflows after the payback period. We are only bothered about whether we can recover the investment amount. So to overcome this limitation, there is a new method called post payback profitability method, where we are considering the profits after the payback period, post. And that is why it is also called as post payback profitability also, because we're considering the profitability after the payback period. Okay. So here we consider the entire cash inflows throughout the working life of the project. So let us see the formula. Post payback profitability method is equal to total cash inflows in life minus initial cost. That is, the total cash inflows we'll get throughout the project minus initial cost or initial investment. Now, in case if the annual cash inflows are equal, that is, you're getting the same return at the end of every year, you can use the second formula, annual cash inflows into, in the brackets, total life minus payback period. So if the total life is 8 years, 8 minus payback period is 5 years, 8 minus 5 years, which is equal to 3. So that is how, if the annual cash inflows are equal. Alright. Now let us see a question to understand post payback profitability method better. In this problem, we have to calculate both payback period and post payback profitability too. So there are two projects. In the first project and the second project, we can see that the initial outlay or the cost of investment is rupees 1 lakh. Then we can see in the project A that the annual cash inflows after tax but before depreciation, CFAT is what this is called, is 20,000 in project A. That means annually we're getting the same amount. At the end of every year we're getting 20,000. And the life of project A is 8 years. In case of the project B, we can see that for the first 3 years, we're getting an annual cash inflow of rupees 30,000 each at the end of first 3 years, and at the end of the remaining next 5 years, we're getting rupees 10,000 each. And we can see the life of the project is also 8 years. So the first case, you can say that annual cash inflows are equal, while in the second project, it is not actually equal, because in first 3 years it's one amount, and the next 5 years it is a different amount. Okay. So in project A, the payback period is equal to initial investment divided by annual cash inflows. That is 1 lakh divided by 20,000, and we get it as 5 years. Next, we have to calculate the post payback profitability, which is equal to total cash inflows in life. So it was 20,000 into 8, right? You can see the note, 20,000 into 8, which is equal to 1,60,000. The life of the project was 8. So 20,000 was the annual cash inflows, 20,000 into 8, which is equal to 1,60,000. Minus initial cost, 1 lakh, is equal to 60,000. Or you can use the second formula, not necessary, that is 20,000 into 8 minus 5, which is equal to 60,000. 20,000 is the annual cash inflow since the amount is equal every year, into life of the project 8 minus payback period 5, which is equal to 60,000. So better use the first method, which is more simple. Now let us look into the project B, where you saw that cash inflows were not equal. So here the first year cash inflow was 30,000. Similarly, in second and third years, we're getting 30,000, 30,000. And on the fourth year, we're getting rupees 10,000. When we add it, we get an exact amount of 1 lakh, which is the initial investment, right? So here we do not have to use E plus B by C, because E gives you the complete 4 years. And we don't have a balance amount to find B by C. So this problem is simple. So we are able to cover the total cost or the total initial investment with the inflows from the first 4 years. So here the payback period is 4 years. Then post payback profitability is again what total cash inflows minus initial cost. So here we can see that total one is how much, 30,000 into 3 plus 10,000 into 5, which gives you 1,40,000. Alright, for the 8 years you're getting cash inflows of 1,40,000 minus initial cost 1 lakh is equal to 40,000. In this problem we can say that the second project, project B, is better than project A. So you should always write a conclusion after the question, after writing the solution, that project B in this case is better than project A because we are able to receive the investment amount. The payback period is less. It is 4 years for project B and 5 years for project A. And similarly, the post payback profitability is 1,40,000 for B, but for project A it is only rupees 60,000. So we will go for project B. The next method in non-discounting is average rate of return method, or ARR. Now it is called the average because here the formula is average profits divided by average investment to calculate this method, to calculate ARR. So here the entire cash inflows are taken into consideration. Cash inflows of the full life of the project, whole life of the project. So it is expressed in percentage. The ARR is expressed in percentage, and it is also known as return on investment method, because return on investment also we can calculate this way. Return by investment is return on investment. So here in average rate of return, it is average profit divided by average investment. It is also called as accounting rate of return because if you see in all other methods, we consider cash flows. But in this method, we consider accounting profits. Accounting profits means profits as per books of accounts. All right. So we learned earlier what is the difference between accounting profit and cash flows, right? That accounting profits considers depreciation, which is not cash expense. But in cash flows, though we deduct it first, we add it back. Why? Because there is no actual cash outflow, right, in depreciation. So here in this ARR, we consider accounting profits. So it is called as accounting rate of return method also. And it is also called as unadjusted rate of return method. Now we'll look into the steps for calculating ARR. There are just 3 steps, and the first step is to find the average returns. An average return is calculated by adding all the returns or all the earnings divided by the project's life. Okay, so here we consider the earnings after depreciation and tax as a cash inflow. So the formula is very simple. Average return is equal to add all the earnings divided by the project's life. So we got the numerator value, right? Average return, numerator value. Then we have to find the value of the denominator, that is average investment. So there are 3 formulas. The first formula is original investment plus scrap value divided by 2. And the second formula is original investment minus scrap value divided by 2 plus scrap value. And the third formula is original investment minus scrap value divided by 2 plus scrap value plus additional working capital. And this is the most common formula that we use, or the best one out of all the 3, because this includes all the components. Now you can see original investment minus scrap value. That amount gives you the total depreciation, right? The accumulated depreciation. That is your total expense. Depreciation is your expense, or the amount that is actually going out of your hands, right? The original investment minus scrap value, because scrap value is an inflow. You'll get back a small amount when you sell the asset. So the actual expense is what? The difference of this, the total depreciation. So original investment minus scrap value divided by 2, we divided by 2 to get the average. Why we add back, or why do we add the scrap value, is because the scrap value is blocked throughout the life of the project. We receive the scrap value only at the end of the life of the project. അവസാനം മാത്രമാണ് നമുക്ക് ഈ സ്ക്രാപ്പ് വാല്യൂ കിട്ടുന്നത് അല്ലേ. അപ്പം അത്രയും നാളും സ്ക്രാപ്പ് വാല്യൂ പ്രോജക്റ്റിൽ ബ്ലോക്ക് ആയിട്ട് കിടക്കുകയാണ്. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വൈ വി ആർ ആഡിങ് സ്ക്രാപ്പ് വാല്യൂ. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അഡീഷണൽ വർക്കിംഗ് ക്യാപിറ്റൽ. വാട്ട് ആർ ദ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് വർക്കിംഗ് ക്യാപിറ്റൽ? സ്റ്റോക്ക് അല്ലേ, ബിൽസ് റിസീവബിൾ, ക്യാഷ് ഇൻ ഹാൻഡ്, ക്യാഷ് അറ്റ് ബാങ്ക്. അപ്പോൾ ഫോർ ഇൻ കേസ് നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് സ്റ്റോക്ക് എക്സസ് ആയിട്ട് വാങ്ങിച്ചു വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. ഇൻ കേസ് ഓഫ് എൻ എമർജൻസിയിലേക്ക് ഇപ്പം പെട്ടെന്ന് കൂടുതൽ ഓർഡർ വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കൊടുക്കാനായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് സ്റ്റോക്ക് എപ്പോഴും എക്സസ് ആയിട്ട് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. സോ ആ സ്റ്റോക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ ആഫ്റ്റർ ദ പ്രോജക്റ്റ് നമുക്ക് വിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഓൾ റൈറ്റ്. ഓർ സംടൈംസ് വി മൈറ്റ് കീപ് സം ക്യാഷ് ഇൻ എ ഹാൻഡ് ഫോർ എമർജൻസി നീഡ്. പെട്ടെന്ന് ഒരു എക്സ്പെൻസ് വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പേ ഓഫ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ക്യാഷ് കുറച്ച് കയ്യിൽ എക്സ്ട്രാ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ദ പ്രോജക്റ്റ്. സോ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ബ്ലോക്ക്ഡ് ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ദ പ്രോജക്റ്റ് അല്ലേ. ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ദ പ്രോജക്റ്റ് നമുക്ക് ഒന്നും യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. സോ ദാറ്റ് ബ്ലോക്ക്ഡ് എമൗണ്ട് ഇസ് ഓൾസോ ആഡഡ് ടു ദിസ് ഫോർമുല. ഓൾ റൈറ്റ്. സോ ഹിയർ ഒറിജിനൽ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് മൈനസ് സ്ക്രാപ്പ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ആ ടോട്ടൽ ഡിപ്രീസിയേഷൻ. കാരണം സ്ക്രാപ്പ് നമുക്ക് തിരിച്ച് കിട്ടും അല്ലേ. സോ നമുക്ക് തിരിച്ചിട്ടുന്ന എമൗണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഒറിജിനൽ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് നമുക്ക് ഈ സ്ക്രാപ്പ് വാല്യൂ കുറയ്ക്കാം. Divided by 2 for getting the average. ഇതിന് കൂടെ why we add back scrap value is because scrap value നമുക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നത് only at the end of the project ആണ്. And similarly additional working capital ബ്ലോക്ക് ആയി കിടക്കുകയാണ്. ക്യാഷ് നമ്മൾ ഒരു എമർജൻസിക്ക് വേണ്ടി കയ്യിൽ ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ദ പ്രോജക്റ്റ് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. സ്റ്റോക്ക് നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് എക്സസ് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവും ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ദ പ്രോജക്റ്റ്. അതാണ് additional working capital. And in step 3 we got the numerator and denominator. In step 1 we got the numerator value. In step 2 we got the denominator value. Just divide average return by average investment and you will get ARR, and it is expressed in percentages. Okay, so how do we decide which project to take? That is a decision rule or selection criteria. That is, higher the ARR the better the project. Okay, so that project which has a higher ARR will be chosen. Okay. Now if there are mutually exclusive projects, അതായത് രണ്ട് projectum are good ones, both are profitable ones. In that case, again, which one has the more ARR, that will be chosen. Again, if you have a project in your mind and you have estimated the target rate of return, so you will go for the project with a better ARR. If the ARR is more than your estimated target rate of return, then you will go for that project. If the ARR is less than your company's target rate of return, then you will reject the project. So this is how you take a decision rule or a selection criteria based on ARR.